So how would you feel if nobody ever saw your best work? Hey friends, it's Pastor Mike from Fellowship Church. Always enjoy connecting with you midweek. Hope you're having a wonderful week. Hope you are enjoying this great weather outside. Sure feels good, sun shining, love all of this. That thought for you again though, how would you feel if you did something really significant and nobody ever saw it? Would you feel cheated? Would you feel like maybe you'd missed something yourself? Let me come back to that in just a moment. I know that we're at least a few weeks past Easter now. Easter is, of course, the time when we celebrate Jesus' resurrection. Now, leading up to the resurrection, we always have that time, those weeks when we focus on the cross and Jesus' death on the cross, the crucifixion, dying for our sins and all of that. John's gospel tells a little piece of the story that the other gospels don't tell. John tells us that when the soldiers were crucifying Jesus, they decided not to part with all of his clothes. When the soldiers would crucify someone, they would kind of divvy up whatever possessions the person had. They're not going to need them after all anyway. But when the soldiers got to Jesus' undergarment, at least that's the word that John uses, they decided not to rip it or try to shred it or share it amongst them. They cast lots. They drew dice or something like that to decide who was going to get it and the others wouldn't have it. Well, okay, why did that end up in the story? Who really cares about Jesus' undergarment? Isn't that kind of a strange thought to share at a crucifixion scene? Well, you have to understand this undergarment. John's gospel tells us that it was woven in one piece from top to bottom. That is very different than the undergarments that most common or even poor people would wear in those days. A woven undergarment, friends, was expensive because it means that it had no seams in it. For most undergarments, that is the garment that people in Jesus' day would wear closest to the skin, there were some seams in there. And of course, as you wore it and it's hot and sweaty and so on, those seams would itch and scratch and all that. But Jesus had this woven undergarment with no seams in it. Okay, so what, Pastor Mike? Well, where do you think Jesus got it from? That thing was expensive. He didn't just buy that off the rack down at Jerusalem Target. That undergarment that Jesus was wearing was expensive. And I'll bet he didn't buy it himself because Jesus wouldn't have done that. Meaning, somebody gave that to him as a gift. Somebody gave Jesus a gift of an undergarment, that is the clothing that was worn closest to his skin, and that person gave it to Jesus so that he wouldn't be itching and scratching and chafing against the hot sun and the sweat and all that. Somebody gave that to Jesus as a gift. And here's the interesting thing. Nobody ever saw it, right? I mean, if Jesus is wearing this expensive undergarment closest to his skin, who do you think saw it? Nobody else, meaning one of Jesus' supporters. I don't know, a disciple? Somebody who was simply providing for his needs, giving him lunch, whatever. Somebody bought that undergarment for Jesus knowing that nobody would ever see that great work, but Jesus knew all about it. So here's that question for you. What are you willing to do? How are you willing to serve? What kinds of sacrifices are you willing to make? What would you be willing to do for your faith and for Jesus if you were confronted with the fact that nobody would ever find out about it? That's right, nobody will ever find out about your greatest work except for the fact that Jesus knew you did it. How far would you be willing to go? The soldiers at the cross, I wonder if when they took off Jesus' outer clothing, if they thought, what in the world is he doing with this beautiful woven undergarment? Where'd he get this? Somebody gave it to him as a gift, just to make his life a little bit better. And I wonder if you do the same. And I wonder if what that would say about your heart. Friends, keep that in mind. May you be willing to do great things for God, even if nobody ever finds out about it. That's how you serve. I hope that makes sense to you. It's resonating in my heart a little bit these days. May we all serve that well with the Lord. I sure hope you have a wonderful week. Take care of yourself. Stay safe out there. Love this weather. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.